Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first in a long-running series, hopefully to grace this channel. Welcome to Off the Top of My Head. I'm your host, William Brandt. And before we get into the meat of what all this really is, it's time for some channel news. I am going to be bringing weekly uploads to this channel, starting with a new NewPants original, debuting next Tuesday. So mark your calendars and clear out your schedules to dive into the world of the mind and the worlds of mystery. But with that out of the way, what is Off the Top of My Head? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. I'm spitballing, talking to the wall, if you will. Releasing the inner thoughts and machinations of my mind to bring you, hopefully, what wisdom remains and some guidance, along with general information and inspiration. So with that being said, let's begin. Fan bases can be tough. They may be brooding, unwilling, toxic even. But in the world of a writer, I couldn't say there's no better place to start than fan fiction. Fan fiction, in most people's minds, puts a bit of a sour taste on their mouth, and reasonably so. It oftentimes entails smut, sexual writing, anything that can be dimmed as, the bad stuff. But in the sea of unpreposterous material, there may lay some hidden gems. Some passion poured into a community of nearly thousands that shines as a hidden gem. Fan fiction to me is oftentimes some writers' humble start into their careers. It can provide them an outlet to share their material with and to be guided with. Excuse the stuttering, but this is what most of this series will consist of. But back to fanfiction. Fan bases and fanfiction go together like bread and butter. You'll see them no matter where you go, and even in the most unlikely of places. That Super Smash Brothers amino or fan base that you're a part of, there's been fanfictions written of it. Your Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Dexter, or even Star Wars, it's there and it's happened. All you have to do is look. But in many people's eyes, it's not worth it. Amidst the many incredulously rare hidden gems, floats around them a sea of garbage, as many people will say. A sea of smut. A sea of undesirable material many people would feel uncomfortable reading, or would only read whenever the mood hits them right. But as I said before, there are these hidden gems, and it is an outlet for writers to develop themselves and to introduce themselves to a craft that may forever change their lives. I personally am in this boat. About 2 years ago, I was in the midst of a crisis. Well, a mental crisis. I was a tech addict. I couldn't look away from a screen. And it was affecting me and my ability to perform in school. And willingly, I could admit that I didn't make the best decisions back then. I was fueled by a drive to just keep looking at the screen. And then one bad decision led to another, and I was with nothing but a dinky school laptop as my only piece of tech. And if you know anything about high school or any independent school district distributed technology, you will realize that they are not the most powerful machines, and they are only capable of the most remedial things. Word documents, PowerPoints, Google Chrome. But even then, it's limited. You can't access everything with Google Chrome. Installing even the simplest Flash game onto your computer will prompt a little pop-up that says you need an administrator to sign in. And I felt alone. I felt starved. I needed my screen again. I needed to type. So one day, I found myself again lost in both my own thoughts and my own realities, pondering the decisions I made, wondering if I could ever avenge them, so to speak. And then it sort of dawned on me. I ended up opening a Word document, and I started typing a fan fiction. A fan fiction of the anime that I was currently really invested in. Well, the only show I could really get invested in with the resources I had. My Hero Academia. As soon as I started typing, I kind of lost track of time. I became immersed in the sea of my own thoughts and ideas and characters and stories. That as soon as I looked at the clock, 3 hours had passed, and I was ready to go to sleep. I slept that night, happily, dreamily even, and woke up the next day realizing that this was my outlet in a time where I was really questioning what I was doing with myself. So those 3 hours soon became 6, then 12, then 2 days, whole weeks I had spent writing this fan fiction. With my own characters, my own plot, inspired that which has been created by Horikoshi himself. And once I got my screen back, I abandoned it. But I didn't abandon writing entirely. I had whole new original ideas, that which weren't to correct myself, some of which were fanfic related, but with other fan bases entirely. I was writing Star Wars. I was writing Steven Universe fanfics even. Believe it or not. And along with those ideas based off of existing stories, I started creating my own stories. Writing my own adventures that would hopefully be seen by others and enjoyed by those who wanted a good read. But just because you leave something doesn't mean you don't want to forget it. Just this year, about a month ago, I returned to that My Hero fanfiction. I looked at it in depth and realized that I could do better. I could rewrite this whole thing and make it truly my own. Make it something truly special for me as the first piece I really invested my writing career into. And who knows, maybe you will be graced by this piece in the future. But that single fan fiction that I wrote just 2 years ago provided me an outlet to explore a passion I never even knew I had. To pour out the endless ideas and stories that cram up inside my head, filling up by the hours with new lines of story and new characters and places and locations and worlds that without that single fan fiction, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have the experience I have now. So when you look at a fan fiction online and you see that it's not smut, it's original, new ideas, new characters, new stories, take a risk, give it a read. You might find something special that you never knew you had. And in the hearts of the writers of those fanfics, realize that they're pouring all this passion and dedication and ideas into something they'll never get paid for. It's solely for the passion, solely for the outlet, solely for the start of a career that will take them to worlds and places that which have never been thought of. Well, that was off the top of my head at least. Thanks for listening.